The following is a 10 TV News special presentation. Several images and topics are graphic. Viewer discretion is advised.
We are following breaking news tonight in northern Knox County.
Deputies just got a search warrant to go into a house there to search for clues of a missing family.
1 year ago, a story unfolded in Knox County, a story that captivated Central Ohio. A mother, her son and daughter, and a family friend vanished from this home.
That just doesn't happen in Mount Vernon normally, you know? You don't think of this, but it's happening.
A community and its sheriff's office began an investigation that would consume every waking hour. 4 days into the search, a break in the case as SWAT surrounded this home.
It wasn't like a gunshot, but it was like a blast. I thought, well, maybe it was a car wreck.
In the basement, bound and gagged on a bed of leaves, 13-year-old Sarah Maynard was found alive. This man, Matthew Hoffman, stood accused of kidnapping, and soon, much more.
We have discovered and recovered the remains of Cody Maynard, Stephanie Sprang, and Tina Herman.
Murdered, dismembered, and found in the bottom of a hollow tree. Now, 1 year later, the story that rocked this small Ohio town and made headlines across the country.
Tonight, investigators opened the case files to 10 TV.
I think the only thing we had to go on was there was one footprint.
The story's unheard until now. The sheriff who fueled a nonstop manhunt for a madman, and the investigator who led the way.
A lesson to be learned from this tragedy. Evil is everywhere.
I don't think he got up that morning saying, "Today I become a monster."
The race to bring Sarah home. Their words, their pictures, and their haunting memories.
Walk down the hallway and there's blood trails everywhere.
From the mother of convicted murderer Matthew Hoffman.
Anybody that can be critical does not have any idea what their children might do someday.
To an inside look at the leaf-covered house and dark basement where he held his victim hostage for days. And the young woman whose life was forever changed when she came home from school on that November day.
I just saw blood and the dog wasn't in his cage.
Sarah Maynard shares her story of survival.
He came out and then grabbed me and then I got away.
What happened next? You'll hear in Sarah's own words. The story she wanted to tell. The story of saving Sarah and the Knox County tragedy 1 year later. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for joining us. I'm Andrea Camburn.
And I'm Jerry Revish. It's hard to believe it's been 1 year since we watched these events unfold in Knox County.
Tonight, an extraordinary hour is ahead, an hour dedicated to the tireless efforts of investigators and the bravery of a young girl, Sarah Maynard.
10 TV's Maureen Cosat begins our story with the night that began the nightmare.
A mother, her 2 children, and their best friend vanish. Inside the family's home, signs of violence.
Wednesday, November 10th, 2010, the last time anyone has seen or heard from Tina Herman, her children, Sarah and Cody Maynard, and family friend Stephanie Sprang.
Right now, there's no indication to say that they were abducted.
It begins as a missing persons investigation. But from the start, the Knox County Sheriff is vague about what investigators find inside Herman's home. He never mentions the groceries found scattered on the kitchen floor and only alludes to the mass quantity of blood in the house.
It's an unusual amount. It isn't from someone stubbing their toe or cutting their finger, peeling an apple or something like that.
1 year later, Sheriff David Barber is talking candidly about what he was really thinking that night.
I think my initial comment was, this is not going to turn out well.
The Knox County prosecutor says the blood evidence in the house revealed 3 separate violent attacks and showed the victims were dragged to the bathroom.
There was a significant amount of blood in the bathtub, and it looked like the blood had left a ring around the tub.
The outlook is grim, and the case soon takes another dark twist.
And now to nearby Kenyon College, where the school again is on lockdown after one of those vehicles belonging to one of the missing women was found near campus.
The discovery of Tina Herman's missing truck near Gambier prompts a lockdown at Kenyon College. Knox County Deputy Aaron Phillips is the first to spot the abandoned truck, a find that leads to a brief chance encounter that would later play a vital role in saving Sarah.
I'd have known that would have obviously been a red flag, but I didn't know at that time.
Besides, investigators already have a person of interest.
The first person we did look at was Greg Borders, which was Tina's live-in boyfriend, because they were on the outs.
But Agent Joe Dietz from Ohio's Bureau of Criminal Investigation says the boyfriend checked out.
Greg Borders had an airtight alibi. I mean, he was at work, he pass-carded in, he was on video.
That puts investigators back at square one with nothing to go on but intuition. The inconspicuous clue that ultimately cracks the case is left in plain view in Tina Herman's garage. Walmart bags containing a tarp and heavy-duty garbage bags.
We had concerns that there was dismemberment. Well, what goes with dismemberment? You know, heavy-duty garbage bags and tarps.
One of the investigators had the idea, why don't we go to Walmart and see if they can pull this up on their inventory.
Investigators don't have a receipt, so the store relies on barcodes to find the day and time of the purchase and then pull up images on surveillance cameras. An idea that begins as little more than a hunch soon gives investigators their first glimpse of the killer. Detectives now have a face, but no name. Surveillance cameras snap this shot of the suspect's car in the store parking lot. A Walmart security officer suggests that it resembles a Toyota Yaris.
We pulled that up, you know, on my phone, and said, okay, that's a Yaris? Yeah, that looks like a Yaris. How many Yaris? Have you ever heard of a Yaris?
Agent Dietz searches an Ohio database for every Yaris registered in Knox County. Investigators begin comparing driver's license photos to the man in the surveillance video. It's about 11 p.m. on Saturday when investigators click on the name Matthew Hoffman. The sheriff says everyone did a double take.
Up comes this guy, and we've got the surveillance photos from Walmart. And the first thing that caught our attention was he's wearing the same shirt.
Look for yourself. Hoffman is indeed wearing the same camouflage shirt in both the surveillance photo and his driver's license photo. And there's more. Hoffman is using his mother's address on Apple Valley Drive, a short distance from Tina Herman's home.
He was our guy.
Knox County Prosecutor John Thatcher is already asleep when investigators call to ask him to come in and prepare a warrant to kick down Hoffman's door.
Right that I was halfway to the office and was called and said, don't come in, we don't think we have enough to go with the search warrant.
Investigators debate whether there's enough evidence to go after Hoffman. After all, at this point, all he's done is shop at a major retail store. But detectives are working against the clock. We didn't know it, but crime scene investigators uncovered physical evidence that gives them every reason to believe Sarah Maynard is still alive.
I think the only thing we had to go on was there was one footprint leaving the house that was her shoe size.
A second critical clue, a footprint impression in blood. Investigators find the matching shoebox in the house. If you look closer, you can even read the brand name. It could only mean one thing.
We potentially have somebody alive, and it's going to be a child because the shoe impressions were small.
So, the prosecutor has no intentions of going back to bed.
And I said, I'm already up, I'm already dressed, I'm halfway there, I'm just going to keep coming.
And even though investigators have been up for 30-plus hours, Agent Dietz isn't taking a break.
But in the case where you have the potential for saving a life, it's pedal to the metal all the way through.
Investigators are now scrambling to learn everything they can about Hoffman.
And at some point, someone says, I think Deputy Phillips, Aaron Phillips, had contact with someone who matches this description in this silver Toyota Yaris.
Remember, it was Deputy Phillips who first spotted Tina Herman's missing truck, but he also had a brief conversation with a man he noticed parked in this nearby lot.
Disturbing, and how calm he was for what obviously he had already done.
At the time, Deputy Phillips knew nothing about a missing teenage girl, but now the case could hinge on his encounter with the man in the silver Toyota, the man who turns out to be Matthew Hoffman.
What are you doing here? Well, I'm just waiting for my girlfriend to get off work.
And in a split second,
What's her name? Sarah.
the final piece of the puzzle slams into place. He used Sarah's name.
It's just sounded like OSU scored the winning touchdown. Everybody was yelling and screaming, and guys grabbing gear, sprinting out the door, and you know, I had no idea what I did.
That kind of put the icing on the cake.
Well, at this point, I think we have to go. We have to do this. I was thinking, I'm really glad I decided to go ahead and come into the office instead of turning around and going back home, going to bed.
As SWAT officers surrounded Matthew Hoffman's home, the investigative team shares one collective thought. Did they crack the case in time to save Sarah?
I mean, he's killed 3 people. I mean, we believe. I mean, there's nothing to stop him from killing the 4th one.
There's a young girl out there who investigators must find, and fast.
When we return, the race to save a life, the race to save Sarah.
It's something that if you saw it on a TV show, you'd think. The writers of this show are just over the top here. Nothing like this would ever happen.
Held in a dark basement, tied down on a bed of blankets and leaves. What Sarah told investigators moments after her rescue. The lies her captor told her. The first on-camera look inside the house Sarah spent 4 days in dark solitude. And still to come, Sarah tells her story.
You could tell that he was like trying to get us both at the same time.